Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you live on a Tuesday afternoon. Figured I'd do a live stream, but I figured I'd debate with you guys, and I'll drop the link here soon if y'all want to get on, or maybe you just want to stay in the chat. I don't know. It's up to you. But I was kind of thinking, I keep thinking about that loss. And people keep saying their season's not over. And, my book of what on the other day said stuff like, every time we take a loss, you're making it up on the national title. And he's right, right? But then I also got to thinking, what are some of the teams out there? Because we see teams that should not win a title, right? That shouldn't make the playoff. That shouldn't be there. But they end up doing it anyway. For example, I don't think Alabama should have got in 2017, the same year, second in 26, Georgia. I don't think they should have got it. They didn't win their conference. They didn't even make it. They lost badly because of offense in an Iron Bowl. Auburn had already had 2 losses. Now, they went on to win the SEC West. Auburn did. And I'll get to them in a second of 2017, potentially. But Alabama went on and they made the national title. Should they have been in the playoffs? I don't think so. But they were. And however it happened, they handled the number 1 team in Clemson, I think they lost to like Syracuse that year. They were the defending champs. They lost to Deshaun Watson. They brought back guys like Williams or Hunter Renfrow, I think. They make the playoffs as the number 1 seed. Alabama beats them in the Sugar Bowl. Goes on, advances. The rest is history. Second and 26 with Georgia. We know about that. Freshman on a title that, quite honestly, I don't think should have been given much of a shot. Well, they had a good resume, outside of the Iron Bowl loss. They beat teams like LSU, close game, but they handled it well against Mississippi State. They opened they opened the season with Florida State. Had a close game against Mississippi State, not too bad, right? But quite honestly, it seems like Georgia was destined for that year. They made the playoffs for the first time ever. Kirby was in his second or third season as the Dogs head coach, and Alabama came in and robbed them. I'm not here to gloat or anything. But is that one of those teams that should have won a national title but didn't? Like, was Georgia the best team all year long? First off, the best team is the national champion. Is it though? Because you know how many asterisks? Like, let me go back. I did a college football flashback video on this one. Let's rewind real quick to 1978. No, the 78-79 season. The Sugar Bowl with Penn State and Bama. Bama won 14-7. Right? I think Penn State was number 1. This was defense, and defense wins championships. It's not what we see today with all the offense. I think Penn State had the better defense. That's what I've read up on. That's what I've been told. That's what I've seen stat-wise. Like, Penn State should have won that game. They seem like they let me pull this up. Hold on. I think Penn State was number 1, if I'm not mistaken. And it was, in a way, an upset. But, like, is that one of those teams? There's so many teams, right? Like 2005 Texas, they weren't supposed to win that against USC. USC looked like they were unstoppable, unbeatable. And then Young comes in and it's like, what? Come on. Was it Vince Young, I think? That's just to name a couple. I want to hear from you guys. If anyone's watching, Feel free to. It doesn't look like it. I know it's the afternoon too. I got class later, so I figured I'd knock this one out. Talk to you guys. 1979 Sugar Bowl, part of the 78 season. Ultimately on New Year's Day 79, Alabama was 10-1. Penn State was 11-0. Back then, this was the 45th overall Sugar Bowl. I did a flashback on this. You can go find it on my channel. Go back and watch it. Get back to those. You get back to those after the football season. I like to do those in the off season. Penn State was 11-0. Alabama was 10-1. There was no Big Ten or SEC. At least if there were, these teams were not a part of the conferences yet. Penn State was independent. Alabama was Southeastern. Alabama won the game 14-7. Great defense. Now, the line was Alabama by 1. That's how good and how close they expected this game to be. 1 point spread. That's NFL type stuff. That's not college, right? They lost to Nebraska. Alabama did. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They lost to USC at home in Legion Field. You know, so, and apparently Bear Bryant, I'm reading this here, as athletic director, what? He made so the coach made the schedules. Well, okay. He says he made a mistake, made the 5-game non-con schedule difficult. He didn't mean to do that, whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, but Penn State, you know, Penn State was undefeated. And it was very close. And Alabama even looked good. They had great defense, man. They won the Iron Bowl. You know, they had Washington, right? Barely beat them, right? So they had their issues and struggles. But it was supposed to be Penn State. Everyone was thinking it would be Penn State. They're going to do it. They have the better defense, and if anyone's going to score, it's going to be Penn State. Well, ultimately, Alabama wins it 14-7, right? That's just one, right? Ultimately. I'm not going to go in order or anything, but I'll tell you something. 2009. Okay, 2009, 2010. Let's go back to Alabama's beginning, right? They had to handle a close game against Auburn. You know, throw to Upchurch, touchdown, right? What's up, LW? I see you in here, buddy. Roll Tide. Right. Close Iron Bowl game. Let's not forget Terrence Cody, the 12-10 game against Tennessee, blocking a kick to survive that. They had some close games. You know, this was Bama had just got started. 2009 was the start of the dynasty. You know, and you see offense now. It was all defense, right? Alabama ultimately goes into Atlanta, and I think it was 2006. Tim Tebow gets there, wins. Or no, wait, that can't be right. Let me double check. But I think Tim Tebow had 2 national titles, right? Florida had won 2 titles. I think it was an 06 and an 08. No, it was 08 for that season. You know, but Tim Tebow did not start that game. He was named the starter for 07, and from there on, he led Florida, right? But fast forward to 2009 when it started for Alabama, Florida and Alabama in the 09 national, or no, not the national title. I'm sorry, the SEC title. Let me tell you something. That was supposed to be Florida, right? Alabama was looking for revenge, right? 2008, they had beat Clemson. A lot of people didn't think they would. They beat Clemson in the opener. They run the table. They win an Iron Bowl. And they fought. They end up winning the West. They get to Atlanta. It's a 12-0 matchup. They were number 2. Florida was number 1, right? Game of the century type stuff. The score was bad. I mean, it was Florida. So the line was Florida by 5. It was 32-13. Alabama won by 19. Oh, they covered the spread as the underdog for sure. But like Florida right there, right? It was an undefeated matchup. Florida was expected to go all the way back to the national title, beat Alabama, keep what Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer, what they were working on, keep that going. And they so they had an opportunity. 2017, Georgia fans out there probably should review this Cinderella Kirby Smart comes in 2015, 2016. Mark Stewart, Fox teams won't get in the playoff, but they're only a conference title and conference. I mean, it could play out, and they weren't bad losses either. But getting back to Georgia, and we know about Georgia, they're my preseason pick. I still think Georgia's probably the team to beat. I just got to be honest. I know I might come on here and I joke and I give Georgia fans a little bit of crap. But they're good. They're back to contending this year. They're back to it. But Georgia of 2017, man, they proved themselves. You can't win a championship without a close game somewhere. They had that in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma. Okay. What was that? What was that score? 54-48. Sony Michel ran it in, right? Against the Heisman Trophy winner, Baker Mayfield, too. Great quarterback. But, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel pretty much carried that offense a bit. Jake Fromm was doing really well, too. They get to Atlanta for the title game. Of course, we know about 2nd and 26. Alabama shouldn't have been in the playoffs, period. I'll admit it. We'll take the title, though. It was historic. It was great. Start of Tua. This, generational talent, they want to call him. And yeah, he's pretty good. Unique. I love Tua. I know I rip on him a bit. I just hate that he's injury prone. Or at least he was at Alabama. He's looking okay with the Dolphins, but he comes on the scene and it starts out like, okay, first off, Georgia's up at the half 13-0. Jalen's not playing good. I remember this game like the back of my head. 3 of 8 for 21 yards, right, for Jalen Hurts in the first half. It was bad. Missed the field goal wide left. Kicker couldn't get it together. Run game was okay, but they didn't really stick to it much. They had some penalties. Jake Fromm and company were picking things up. Next play type of thing. Tua comes on, leads a comeback. We have a field goal to try to win it, and it's wide left. They got to go to overtime. Georgia gets the ball, and if Jake Fromm doesn't take a sack on third down, right, if the O-line had just a little bit better protection, I guarantee you he probably could have found someone to at least move the sticks and pick up the first. They hit a field goal from 51 yards by Rodrigo Blankenship. So he comes in, he kicks the field goal, and, everyone's smiling. They have a chance. They're up on Bama. Once again in this game, Bama never led. They literally had I think it was 20-7, and they had 13 whatever unanswered points. Tua gets out there. He takes a sack. Should have threw the ball away. Saban's pissed on the sidelines. Tua had took that sack. Can't believe he did it, but he did. And 2nd and 26. We know about it. But Georgia should have won that game in a way, right? They should at least have won a title, whoever it would have been against, right? They were set up in good position. Now it had to be an Auburn team to do it. They had to, beat Oklahoma. Doesn't have defense, but still historic Rose Bowl shootout, everything. But Kirby Smart can win a title for Georgia. I think so. Now, his ceiling is SEC. At least in recent years, he's got to get back to it. I've been saying since the preseason, I think he's going to win a title this year. I think this is Georgia's year. I think they're the most complete team out there, honestly, especially on defense. It's kind of surprising. I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but I heard rumors that it wasn't going to be as good as maybe people expect it to be, and it's lived up to the kind of standard or whatever that you want. But 2017, Georgia should have had it already right there. Then the next year, of course, Tua takes over. And need I say more? I mean, Clemson was undefeated. They had Trevor Lawrence. They swapped quarterbacks. Kelly Bryant transfers, blah, blah, blah. Two of this, two of that. Devontae Smith. There's we get all that. Bama scoring 50 points a game in 2018. They played as the number one team practically all season long. They were perfect. They were great. Issues here, there, but most of that bad. I see you, buddy. Terry Sanchez, LW. I see you. I dropped the StreamYard link. If anyone wants to come on, feel free to. But getting back to 2018 Bama, they did everything. But Saban says they feel like they lost the Bama factor after the LSU game because the stakes were high. The SEC West was already on the line. And it was 1-3 anyway. So you're expecting a close game, a great game. But no, that defense came prepared and shut down Joe Burrow and everybody, right? Then they get to the playoffs. They played Kyler Murray. That's right. Was it? Yeah, Bama, Oklahoma, Clemson, Notre Dame. That's it. Um, you know, then they get to it was Santa Clara, San Francisco, home of the 49ers at Levi Stadium, right? They play Clemson. It's 14-13 at the end of the first. This was a 44-16 game. We know how it ends. They kick a field goal, start of the second quarter. Um, they go up 16-14, and ultimately 30 points later, it's a blowout, 44-6. Like, Bama had that opportunity. But because, and I'll tell you why they lost that game, because Tua thought he could throw the ball well, and he can, but in that game, it just wasn't working. The run game worked early on. They didn't really have any rushing touchdowns, but, it was getting them somewhere on the field. They had like a two-back system with a really three-back. Najee was carrying it, Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris, um, and it was working for them early on. But the defense couldn't get off the field on third down. It allowed Trevor Lawrence and company to score, but also at the same time, Tua kept trying to make plays, throwing the ball, and couldn't do it, and it got away from them. They couldn't answer back. But they were scoring 50-something points a game, blowing teams out 50-10 all year long up until that game, right? It didn't make them a bad team to lose that. It just meant they had that game. StreamYard again, I don't know. But you guys get here. I've talked about this stuff here, actually. But yeah, y'all come in. Um, and I want to hear from you guys. College football's best teams that never actually won a title. They didn't win it. Whether they made it, they barely missed it. They should have made it. They should have won. 2019 didn't really have a team. I mean, Clemson was looking back to back, but um, you know, bad reception, bad audio. And, I mean, we've had internet issues, but you guys now, sorry that. I mean, you can hear me now. But if anyone wants to come on, it's free to talk on stage. Just hang out. This title. Even the Big Ten And you guys just let me know, or let me know if you can't hear me.